He did everything right. At least that's what he believed. Years of training, dozens of classes, the same self-defense habit drilled over and over again. Late night, parking lot. A stranger approaches too close. The man doesn't panic. He doesn't run. He doesn't shout. He waits, because that's what he was taught. Stay calm. Don't overreact. Wait for the moment. The stranger keeps coming. Hands hidden. Distance closing. Still no move. The habit kicks in. He freezes in place, waiting for confirmation. Waiting for the attack to be obvious. Waiting for permission to act. He never gets it. The strike comes without warning. Fast, ugly. From a range he didn't expect. He goes down hard. Concrete. Blood. Confusion. People rush in. Phones come out. Someone screams for help. By the time the ambulance arrives, it's already over. He didn't lose because he lacked courage. He didn't lose because he was weak. He lost because he trusted a habit that felt safe. A habit that worked in class. A habit that worked in theory. A habit that failed completely in reality. And the most disturbing part? He did exactly what he was trained to do. And that's why this self-defense habit is so dangerous. People misunderstand why habits are dangerous. They think mistakes are the problem. They think bad decisions happen only when someone panics or acts irrationally. But habits are far more lethal than mistakes. A mistake happens once. A habit happens automatically. When stress hits, the brain doesn't analyze. It doesn't debate. It doesn't calculate options. It falls back on whatever has been repeated the most. That's how habits work. They bypass thinking. And that's exactly why the wrong self-defense habit can get someone killed. In controlled environments, habits feel safe. They feel calm. They feel disciplined. You're taught to wait, to stay composed, to respond only when the attack is clear. That logic makes sense in a gym. It works in drills. It feels responsible and measured. But the street doesn't reward patience the way training does. On the street, waiting often means surrendering initiative. Waiting means giving up distance. Waiting means letting the other person decide the moment. The brain loves habits because they reduce uncertainty. They give you a script, something familiar to follow when things feel uncomfortable. But violence doesn't follow scripts. Real attacks don't come with clear signals. They don't respect distance. They don't wait for your confirmation. So when someone relies on a habit that requires certainty, they freeze. Not out of fear but out of conditioning. They're doing what they were trained to do. And that's the trap. Because habits feel reliable. They feel proven. You've repeated them hundreds, sometimes thousands of times. Your body trusts them more than your conscious mind. That trust becomes deadly when the habit doesn't fit reality. The street moves faster than habits designed for control. It's messier. It's uglier. It's unpredictable. This is why people who did everything right still get overwhelmed. Not because they lacked skill, but because their habit demanded the wrong thing at the wrong time. And once that habit activates, it doesn't ask questions. It locks you into behavior that no longer serves you. That's why this same pattern appears again and again in real incidents. Calm people freezing. Trained people hesitating. Prepared people getting caught. Not because they were unprepared, but because they were prepared for the wrong environment. And once this habit activates under stress, it leads directly to the next failure. Because when you wait, you lose time. And in real violence, lost time is everything. The habit sounds responsible. Wait for the right moment. Don't escalate. React only when the threat is obvious. On paper, it feels intelligent. In reality, it's lethal. Because the street doesn't offer a right moment. What it offers is a narrow window, and that window closes fast. People trained to wait believe they're being disciplined. They think they're avoiding mistakes. They believe patience equals control. But under real stress, waiting becomes paralysis. They stand still. They watch. They hope clarity will arrive. It doesn't. Instead, distance disappears. The other person keeps moving. Hands stay hidden. Angles form. The habit demands certainty, but certainty never comes. And by the time the attack is undeniable, it's already too late to respond cleanly. This is why so many people say, "I didn't expect it." They were waiting for a signal that never existed. Real violence doesn't announce itself. It doesn't square up. It doesn't give warnings. It exploits hesitation. The habit of waiting teaches people to surrender initiative, to let the other person choose the moment, to react instead of decide. And reaction is always slower than decision. This habit also creates another dangerous illusion, that calm equals safety. So people stay calm, right up until they're overwhelmed. They confuse emotional control with situational control. But the two are not the same. You can be calm and still be completely exposed. In fact, many victims are calm right before they're attacked. Calm, polite, cooperative, and unprepared for what comes next. Because the habit told them to wait, to not overreact, to not misjudge, to not move too soon. But the street punishes hesitation far more harshly than it punishes early movement. When someone intends to hurt you, the worst thing you can do is give them time. And that's exactly what this habit trains you to do. It teaches you to delay action until action is no longer effective. And once that delay happens, the chain reaction is already in motion. Because after time is lost, position is lost. And when position is lost, recovery becomes almost impossible. Once that habit takes over, the body does something dangerous. It stops moving. Not because of fear, not because of confusion, but because the habit says, wait. Feet plant on the ground. Weight settles. Hands hover, unsure. This is freezing, but it doesn't feel like panic. It feels like discipline. And that's why it's so deceptive. People think freezing only happens when someone is terrified. In reality, it often happens when someone is trying to do the right thing they were taught. They're waiting for confirmation, waiting for the attack to be obvious, waiting for permission to act. Meanwhile, time is bleeding away. The other person keeps advancing. Distance collapses. Angles form. Every second spent waiting is a second given to the attacker. This is where people lose initiative completely. They're no longer choosing actions. They're hoping for clarity that never arrives. And when clarity finally comes, it comes as impact. That's the cost of this habit. It doesn't just slow you down. It locks you in place. Before we go any further, take a second and comment the city you're watching from. I want to know where people are being taught habits like this, because this pattern shows up everywhere. Different countries, different cultures, same result. Here's the part most people don't want to hear. Once time is lost, you don't get it back. You can't rewind distance. You can't rewind positioning. You can't rewind surprise. The moment you freeze, the situation belongs to someone else. And even if you break out of it a second later, you're already reacting from disadvantage. Balance is compromised. Vision is narrow. Breathing is rushed. This is why the first strike lands clean. This is why people stumble instead of responding. This is why everything feels sudden and unfair. It wasn't sudden. It was delayed. Delayed by a habit that felt safe, but quietly removed your ability to act. And once this delay happens, the street introduces the next problem. Because real violence doesn't follow training scripts. It brings chaos. And that's where this habit completely collapses. This is the moment where training meets reality. And reality doesn't care about habits. The habit expects a clean situation. One person, clear intent, predictable movement. The street offers none of that. The attack doesn't come from the angle you trained for. It doesn't respect distance. It doesn't wait for your reaction. It's messy. It's fast. It's aggressive. Someone moves differently than expected. Someone lunges instead of striking. Someone grabs instead of punching. The habit doesn't know how to process this, because it was built for control, not chaos. So the body hesitates again. A half step too late. A hand moves where it shouldn't. Balance shifts at the wrong moment. And that's all it takes. This is where people say, my training didn't work. But that's not true. Their training worked exactly as designed. It followed the habit. The problem is that the habit was never designed for real violence. Real fights don't respect patterns. They break them. They don't follow rhythm. They interrupt it. They don't give you time to recognize what's happening. They force you to deal with it immediately. This is also where the environment joins the fight. Uneven ground, poor lighting, noise, movement everywhere. Your habit has no answer for this. It can't adapt fast enough. It can't adjust under pressure. It can't rewrite itself mid-action. So when reality deviates from the script, the habit collapses. And when it collapses, people fall. Not because they're weak, not because they're untrained, but because they trusted something rigid in a situation that demands flexibility. This is why so many incidents look chaotic on video. People aren't fighting wrong. They're fighting habits that no longer fit the moment. And once this breakdown happens, consequences arrive immediately, because the street doesn't pause to let you recalibrate. It moves on violently. And this is where good intentions stop mattering. This is where the price is paid. Not later. Not eventually. Immediately. A stumble. A fall. A head hitting concrete. No prolonged fight. No exchange of techniques. Just sudden damage. Most people don't understand how little force it takes when timing and balance are already gone. A light push becomes a fall. A misstep becomes a skull fracture. A single strike becomes unconsciousness. And once someone is down, everything accelerates. Panic spreads. People shout. Someone keeps attacking. Someone else runs. Control is gone. This is also where legal consequences quietly begin. Because the law doesn't care about habits. It doesn't care what you were taught. It doesn't care about intentions. It looks at outcomes. Who fell? Who struck? Who escalated? Who failed to disengage? Surveillance footage doesn't show what you meant to do. Witnesses don't testify about your training philosophy. They describe what happened. And what often happened is this. Someone waited. Someone froze. Someone lost position. And someone got seriously hurt. Even if you survive physically, the damage doesn't end. Medical bills, lost work, permanent injuries, and sometimes criminal charges. All tied back to a habit that felt safe. A habit that felt responsible. A habit that removed your ability to act early. This is why good intentions don't protect you. This is why being calm isn't enough. And this is why repeating the wrong habit is more dangerous than having no training at all. Because at least untrained people don't trust a script. They react. Habits don't react. They repeat. And when they repeat at the wrong moment, the cost is real, permanent, and unforgiving. Survival often requires doing something uncomfortable. It requires letting go of habits that feel safe. The hardest part of real self-defense isn't learning new techniques. It's unlearning automatic behaviors that no longer serve you. Habits feel reliable because they remove doubt. They give structure. They give certainty in moments of stress. But certainty is a luxury the street never offers. Real safety comes from adaptability, not scripts. Instead of waiting for confirmation, you learn to move early. Instead of freezing, you create space. Instead of trusting a single response, you stay flexible. This means training your mind, not just your body. You practice recognizing discomfort as information, not something to suppress. You accept that acting early might feel awkward, and that's okay. You stop needing the situation to make sense before you respond. This shift is uncomfortable for people who value control, but it's essential for survival. You don't need to be aggressive. You don't need to escalate. You just need to refuse stillness. Movement buys time. Distance buys options. Options buy safety. This mindset doesn't reject calm. It rejects passivity. You can stay calm while moving. You can stay composed while creating distance. You can be polite while disengaging. The key is not waiting for certainty that never comes. People who survive real encounters don't rely on perfect timing. They rely on early decisions. They don't ask, is this dangerous enough yet? They ask, do I still have options? And the moment options begin to disappear, they act. This is what real self-defense looks like. Not flashy, not dramatic, not heroic. Quiet decisions made early enough that violence never needs to happen. Once you understand this, the idea of waiting for the right moment loses its appeal. Because the right moment is almost always earlier than you think. And when you choose adaptability over habit, you stop repeating mistakes that feel safe, but end badly. This entire situation revolves around one mistake. Trusting a habit that requires waiting. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for confirmation. Waiting for the right moment. That habit feels safe. It feels disciplined. Feels controlled. But in real fights, it removes the one thing that matters most. Options. By the time the habit activates, distance is already gone. Position is already compromised. Surprise is already in play. And once that happens, everything speeds up. Freezing doesn't look dramatic. It looks calm. It looks responsible. Until it isn't. Because calm without movement becomes exposure. And patience without distance becomes danger. The pattern is always the same. Intent appears. The habit says, wait. Time is lost. Reality breaks the script. Consequences arrive. Not because the person was weak. Not because they lacked courage. But because they trusted repetition over adaptation. Habits don't think. They don't assess. They don't adjust. They execute. And when they execute at the wrong time, they lock you into the worst possible response. This is why so many people say, I did exactly what I was taught. They're right. And that's the problem. Real self-defense isn't about perfect responses. It's about refusing stillness when options still exist. It's about choosing early movement over late reaction. Because once the street forces you to react, control is already gone. And once control is gone, outcomes are decided fast. If this video made you uncomfortable, that's a good thing. Because discomfort is often the first signal that something you trust needs to be questioned. The most dangerous self-defense habits aren't reckless ones. They're the ones that feel safe. The ones that sound responsible. The ones repeated without context. The ones that delay action when action is still possible. Real fights don't punish aggression first. They punish hesitation. And once you understand this, your approach to self-defense changes completely. You stop waiting for permission. You stop trusting scripts. You stop relying on habits that demand certainty. You start prioritizing movement. You start protecting distance. You start acting while options still exist. Before you leave, comment the city you're watching from. I want to see where people are learning self-defense right now because these habits are taught everywhere, and awareness is the first step toward change. If you've trained something that emphasized waiting, patience, or staying calm without movement, share that experience in the comments. Honest discussion helps others avoid the same trap. If this video challenged something you believed, leave a like. It helps this message reach people before they learn this lesson the hard way. Subscribe to the channel because in the next video we're breaking down another piece of popular self-defense advice that fails under real pressure and why unlearning can be more important than training. Remember this: the most dangerous habits are the ones that feel safe. Stay adaptable, stay moving, and stay alive. Until the next video.